Previously on Ballz.
As we finally turn our attention to cricket this afternoon, no Jonty Rhodes, I'm afraid. He's out of action.
Oh, man.
Battery gone flat.
Battery flat. But
Yeah.
a more than capable stand-in is one Patrick Symcox. Afternoon, Mr. Symcox. Welcome to Ballz.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
And thank you for standing in at such short notice for Jonty.
It's a pleasure, man. I've stood in for him a lot of times.
It's Darren's not here today. It's Simon, Knox, Johnny, and Dave Papenfuss.
Hello, Summer.
Okay. How are you guys?
No, we well despite watching the cricket this morning. Very depressing.
Certainly it was, eh? It wasn't something that wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
Cheryl's good work.
yeah, we spoke to Cheryl Calder, and you know, she just shrugged her shoulders and said, yeah, well, what can she do? But it certainly looks like her work there is paying off.
Summer,
I don't know, eh? Yes, what can I do for you?
Summer, we've got, just before we get onto the dreary South African story, I don't know if you were following Bangladesh, but they had a record 9th wicket partnership between Abdul Hassan and I think it was Mahmudullah of 184. Does that bring back memories?
Yes, it
9th
does.
wicket
And
partnership?
myself and Dachi were talking about it this morning. In fact, we touched base over it and just said it, you know, what had happened there. I was following it. I picked it up yesterday afternoon, that they were really in with a chance of breaking that record, and they needed 23 overnight, and obviously then didn't get it. I'm happy for the bloke who made 100 at number 10. It's nice. But yeah, they just fell short, so the record still stands.
The record still stands. Of course, this guy made a century at debut and at number 10, which is very unusual. But you're still one of what is it? Is it only 4 people having made a test century at number 10?
Yeah, there were 4 people, but he becomes the first number
Debutant.
10 on debut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we wanted to talk about something good, and of course, it's nice when people get near your record because everyone remembers your innings, and I remember that innings so clearly. Of course, Boucher wasn't a debutant, but he was damn close to it.
Yes, you know, it was interesting because that record, the one that we broke, I think it was in 97, it stood, I think it was in 1961, between Asif Iqbal and, I can't remember the other one, I think it could have been Zahir Khan. So that was 36 years, and it'll be interesting to see that this one is now, well, they got close, so it was that 97 to now is
15 years.
So that stood a while, so interesting to see how it will sustain. No doubt it'll be broken at some point.
Well, records are made to be broken, but of course, when they get close, it reminds us of those occasions. And I still have this visual image in my head of you rushing down the wicket after scoring that run to get your ton and jumping in the air. It was fantastic. Do you still relive that sometimes?
Now I've forgotten it, but every now and again when somebody reminds me, I do. But it seems a long time ago.
So this test match down under, what do you think? How did the wheels come off so badly today for South Africa?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, and I don't think, you know, sitting so far away that you can put your finger on it totally, but, you know, obviously you're going to speculate, and you've got probably more insight to speculate if you kind of played and been in that kind of scenario, you know. And the side will take criticism now that they've had such a poor time, especially if you've had kind of 9 or 10 days off where you just get around and go and play golf and go fishing, and that's the new way. But that's all very well when you're winning. So when you're losing, that's when the criteria and the criticism is going to be, you know, put into place. That's what I'm hearing, questions being asked of, well, what did they do for 9 days, and all of a sudden there's 3 injuries or 2 injuries? How does that happen? And I mean, obviously for Philander is a blow. He's not right up there as a good bowler in the world just by luck, you know. So he's a big blow. And then John Callis not being able to bowl when he looked like he was one of the guys who could swing the ball on a pitch that was pretty dead. So that was a blow. And then I guess Imran Tahir being selected, you know, on a flat deck, that was always going to be tough. Whether it was the correct selection into the squad remains to be seen from the outset. But yeah, so there's a whole puzzle that needs to be kind of unraveled. But it wasn't pretty, and it was something that would probably be recorded as one of the dark days of Proteas cricket.
Yeah.
To admission, I don't think I've seen our quality fast bowlers being slogged to all parts and the spinner going for 150 in 20 overs ever. There was just no stopping the bleeding.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first day. It's a massive total. Is there any coming back from this, do you think?
No, there's no best. When you've got a test side in a test match where the one side scores 400 odd in the day, and they've still got 6 wickets left, you are staring down 2 barrels, and they're both loaded. And I don't think, it would be extraordinary for any side to believe they could come back and win from here.
Yeah.
And Ricky Ponting has got the bit between his teeth, and Nicky after him will make sure they bat and bat and bat. And that's the advantage of scoring at the pace they did. When you score that quickly on day one, you're going to open up yourself a nice opportunity, because they're going to for sure bat big in innings one.
I suppose
we know that from when you've got 2 people injured, it's going to be hard work.
I suppose you have to look at it now, and you have to say, well, 600, perhaps even 650 is a real prospect, which means that the Proteas must prepare themselves psychologically to bat for 3 days. And added to that, with Jacques Kallis and his injury, you're looking at Jacques Kallis batting at 7.
Well, absolutely. And one of the issues you mustn't forget, I'm not sure I'd be looking at runs, to be brutally honest, because you've scored so quickly. You want to be batting for another, you can bat for another 3/4 of a day. Now, that could be 60 overs, because that's what the normal test one-day innings would take. If you batted pretty well and you wanted to post 550, 500, you'd probably have to bat a day and a half, day and 3/4, like we did in the first match. So, if they bat for a day and a half, the realms of possibility are endless. And if Clark gets in again, 400 is not far away, so that's probably what his sights are.
Yeah.
And if they get themselves 700, 650, 700, which unless we strike early and really turn it around, that's what we're looking at. And, we're badly mauled mentally. So it's going to take a real defining effort to pull this one out of a draw. I can't see a win, but I can see a draw.
You mentioned that, probably one of the darkest days for Proteas cricket post-isolation, but it kind of illustrated to me how vulnerable we are when there's no Philander, when Kallis isn't firing, when Steyn isn't at his best. We look a lot weaker.
Well, look, let's be brutally honest. When you've got a spinner that's going to attack all the time, and you combine it with a Dale Steyn who's an attacking bowler, and you combine it with Kallis who's an attacking bowler, and knows more and more, I don't see an option in the side for anyone to hold up an end. And, by not selecting someone like Johan, it's beyond me that there's no off-spin, where you could have someone who comes on and bowls, ties up an end. That is going to be the Dumini role. They had the chance to correct that, and they went for Dean Elgar, who's a good player. I have no problem, and he can bowl tight. But they put him on the bench, and they've gone for the option of the attacking spinner. Now, you make your bed, you lie in it. If you want to go in with an attacking spinner on day one at the Adelaide Oval against some good players of spin at that level, it better be able to bowl 2 kinds of bowling. One, he's got to bowl attacking you when needed, but there's also a time when you need to actually defend. And someone needs to be able to say, right, let's close up an India for 10 overs from that end, which is 20 overs in total, and just close up the end and let me rotate my others from the other side. Graham had no go-to man to tie up an end, and that's why I had to keep bowling. I had to keep bowling the spinner, and that was glaringly obvious. And for a long time in South African cricket, one of the issues they keep on wanting to have is a spinner that runs up and knocks over people. Well, Imran Tahir still hasn't done it. We complained when we had Paul Harris. We've complained when we've had a tie-up spinner because he's not taking wickets. But we won test matches. Now we've got an attacking spinner, and you see the result of everybody just attacking. We need to understand that you need at some point to close the game down. And if your spinner can't do both jobs, you're in trouble. And that was the success of Warne. The same as Muralithan. The great spinners were able to attack when needed on the last and second last days, and the other ones were able to tie up an end. And tying up an end is critical if you've got quality fast bowlers who you want to rotate.
So, Mo, just a question. I mean, if Australia battle T tomorrow, they'll have a score of around 700, which quite clearly the chances of South Africa having to follow on are reasonably good. But that would mean that they've got to bowl for 3 days. In other words, they've got to take 20 wickets on the trot. Or will they perhaps declare earlier so that they can give their bowlers a rest by having their own second innings? How does that play out in the captain's mind when he's looking at the game going forward?
Well, looking at the nature of that pitch, we understand that Adelaide in the last day and a half favour spin. So surely you wouldn't want to even be chasing as a batting side. You wouldn't even be wanting to have to go in and bat again and maybe chase to get 150 to win a test match on a turning wicket with an opposition that's got a leg spin.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got 2 leg spins.
So you think they will have another dig before they put us in
There's
again?
absolutely no doubt. And they will. And you know, John, when you bat to a point where you bat the opposition to such a mental state, all you need is to lose two quick wickets before you got 50, and suddenly, you know, things go wrong. You've got an AB de Villiers who's been fielding for 2 days. He's going to be a critical part. Jock Callis is injured. Jock Rudolph is looking for runs. Hashim Amla, we've had a lot of, he's one guy we want to look at. Graham Smith, captain, he's been in the field for 2 days. It really wears you down mentally. And then if you get bowled out, even if you score 300 and you got to come back again, you must know. But if you make any mistakes, you lose 2 or 3 early again, and the new ball comes, you're under pressure. And it's not about only ability physically. The mental pressure is immense in Test cricket, and it's something that really is not understood. And I can take you back to a Test series in I think it was 98. We played a Test series, and the first Test was at the MCG, and it was Jacques Callis's debut 100. And you may remember it. He got 100 and he saved the Test match for us. Batted a long, long time. But we were under so much mental pressure from defending for so long that eventually the house of cards falls down. And I sense that's where we are. We're at that point now where we succumbed to a lot of pressure in the last match. We got away with the draw. I know Gary wants the guys to go away and have a rest and whatever, but you know what it's like. You're resting, but at the same time, mentally, you know, you've got to come back, and we're under pressure again. And that pressure tends to numb as the series goes on.
Yeah, somehow it's Dave Parpin was actually asking the intelligent questions.
Yeah, sorry,
John's the other guy.
Thanks, Simo.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's right, my mate.
But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, this game is getting psychological. Australia are going to have enough runs on the board to play psychological games with South Africa, added to their physical wariness of chasing leather for as long as they have.
Of course, and you know you're going to have 2 or 3 catches around the bat, and it's catch, and you know you've got to keep the board rolling. And if you've got 700 on a board against you, you know you're never out of the woods. You know, what do you need? 500 to avoid the follow-on. You know, to get 500, you know, somebody's got to make a big 100. Well, and it's going to be, look, I'm not saying it's impossible, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying.
Well, I tell you the way to do it is for number 9 and 10 to put on a really big 9th wicket partnership, of course.
Well, mate, I've got good news. I've got bad news for you.
So,
if you're going to rely on the number 10, we're in a bit of trouble. But look, it's not out of the realms of possibility. And one, they always say never judge the match until both sides have batted. But what I've seen today was a massacre, and it was mentally very bruising for, well, you know, put yourself in Imran Tahir's place, you know, 21 overs, I think he got 159.
Yeah, 21 overs, not for 159, yeah.
And what's his... They finished batting, you know, he's gone for, there's a possibility he could go for 250.
I just want to ask you, on Imran Tahir, has the time now come for Gary Kirsten to take him aside and say to him, listen, Imran, we brought you into the side for a specific reason. You're not fulfilling that role. You know, ship up or ship out.
I'm not sure that Gary Kirsten...
Shape up or ship out.
To be honest, I think you need to look one step higher than that. You can only select the team on the field out of the 11, out of the squad you've given. And I've always believed that's where our problems lie. You know, we've got it wrong in 3 World Cups. We've got it wrong in the last match again. At some point, we need to stop here and just say, listen, what is the strategy? You know, I get quite upset about the selection process because I think back to times when we dropped the Callis for the T20. Then we dropped Boucher to go to the World Cup. And then, you know, we phased along in the last World Cup with the Rinkers. Now we've gone to England, to Australia. We've got left arm spinning Peterson who turns the ball away from the bat, the right-hander. We've got Tahir who turns the ball away from the right-hander. We've got Jock Rudolph who can bowl leg spin who turns the ball the other way around. We've got Faf du Plessis that does the same thing. You know, and at the end of the day, we've got no off-spinner. And the bloke who should be in the side is actually playing in Adelaide.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
he's
SA.
the captain.
He's playing for SA in Adelaide,
and,
South Australia.
The guy can bat and bowl, and he's quite an intelligent bloke, So I'm actually flabbergasted. We need a replacement. We have a choice between bringing in the bloke again, an off-spin of some sort, and we go for another left-arm spin. How many more do you want? 5 is it?
Yeah. All right. Well, Simo, we got to wrap it up. Unfortunately, yeah, you leave it with us.
Let's just hope like crazy. I mean, I'm still a supporter of South African cricket and the Proteas and Gary and everybody that goes Graham and that. I just hope that they can pull it together. I mean, they're not number one in the world, but it's going to be a real tough ask, and you're going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'll just ask you to put it out there. Your prediction for the test. What do you think is going to happen? Will we salvage a draw?
South Africa will lose the test.
Sure.
Yeah. Asking me to make a prediction, I would be hard to bet against 700.
Simo, I'm afraid I agree with you.
And me too, Simo. Intelligent answer. Good question.
Cheers, John.
Okay. Simo, thanks for your time this afternoon, Simo.
Cheers,
mate.
Simo. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
This is Ballz Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Ballz.co.za